Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. In today's video, we're going to be discussing some of the spells of the wizarding world. More specifically, however, we're going to be discussing the 5 most evil spells. That is, the spells considered too dark for nobler, more righteous wizards. These are the spells reserved for the darkest of the dark, the supremely evil. Before we get started, I want to make a distinction. There are plenty of spells which dark wizards use that aren't necessarily inherently evil. It's just that they're used in an evil way. That's not what I want to cover here. I want to cover the darkest of the dark, spells that couldn't ever possibly have any sort of positive or good connotation. These are the spells of the dark arts. The dark arts are many, varied, ever-changing, and eternal. Fighting them is like fighting a many-headed monster, which, each time a neck is severed, sprouts a head even fiercer and cleverer than before. You are fighting that which is unfixed, mutating, indestructible. Some of the spells on this list are curses. So, what exactly is a curse? First, you need to understand what a charm is. A charm is an expression that refers to spells which add certain properties to objects or individuals. Charms should not be confused with transfigurations, as transfiguration refers to a spell that changes what the object is, rather than just changing properties of the object. Basically, curses are the most severe form of dark charms, often cast with intent to kill or seriously harm. Now that you've got a better sense of what does what, let's dive into the top 5 most evil spells in the Harry Potter universe. 5. Sektums Emperor. Part of the reason that Sektums Emperor makes it onto this list, besides its obvious malevolent nature, is the fact that it was created almost entirely out of spite. Sektums Emperor was invented by none other than Severus Snape, and we first hear of the spell when Harry discovers it in the Half-Blood Prince. Sektums Emperor is a vicious dark curse that acts like an invisible sword, causing lacerations, hemorrhaging, and cuts upon its target. Often after being struck, the target will lay there motionless as they lose blood. It is somewhat of a specialty of Snape's, and is featured in his Half-Blood Prince copy of Advanced Potion Making. In fact, in Snape's copy of the textbook, the spell is accompanied with a note which says, "For enemies." This alludes to just how dangerous the spell is. When Harry uses it on Malfoy in the Half-Blood Prince, we see the spell in action for the first time, and it's not a pretty sight. Why Harry thought it would be a good idea to use an unknown spell on Malfoy for enemies is anyone's guess, but all I know is that both boys were lucky that Snape showed up. The only thing that detracts from this spell being possibly more evil is that it has a counter charm, Vulnera Sedentur. The fact that the spell is so easy to cast, even Harry can cast it without knowing what it does, and the fact that Snape created it out of such a dark place to use on the Marauders speaks volumes to just how twisted this curse really is. For that reason, it's number 5 on the list. 4. Fiendfire. Next up, we have one of the most powerful spells in the entire Harry Potter universe, Fiendfire. It was not normal fire. Crabbe had used a curse of which Harry had no knowledge. As they turned a corner, the flames chased them, as though they were alive, sentient, intent upon killing them. Now the fire was mutating, forming a gigantic pack of fiery beasts. Flaming serpents, chimeras and dragons rose and fell and rose again, and the detritus of centuries on which they were feeding was thrown up in the air into their fanged mouths, tossed high on clawed feet before being consumed by the inferno. For those unaware, Fiendfire is absurdly overpowered, and its basic function is to destroy everything. Voldemort is a known proponent of the spell, and can be seen using it against Dumbledore in their epic duel in the Ministry Atrium. Fiendfire produces enchanted flames of an enormous scale that essentially destroy anything in its path, often taking the form of gigantic fiery beasts. Fiendfire is extremely advanced dark magic, and is also one of only a few known ways to destroy a Horcrux. Fiendfire is pure evil because its only purpose is to destroy. It can't really be used righteously, which is why it shouldn't surprise you that it's a no-go for many powerful dark wizards. For that reason, it's number 4 on the list. 3. Imperio. Surprise, surprise, one of the unforgivable curses. But I'll have you know that not all of them are on this list. What are the 3 invisible curses, you ask? Let's have Fake Moody explain. Now, those 3 curses, Avada Kedavra, Imperius, and Cruciatus, are known as the unforgivable curses. The use of any one of them on a fellow human being is enough to earn a life sentence in Azkaban. The Imperius curse, or Imperio, comes from the Latin impero, which means I command. Imperio is most often used by dark witches and wizards, and, when it's cast on a victim, they are forced to perform the unquestioned bidding of the caster. Being under the control of this spell is said to be like experiencing a wonderful release from any sense of responsibility, making the victim extremely susceptible to any sort of influence from the caster. Because of this adopted carefree attitude, the victim is inclined to carry out tasks for the caster without any sort of moral compass or awareness of the caster's intentions or desires. Fake Moody explains the properties of Imperio further in the lesson. I can make it jump out of the window, drown itself, throw itself down one of your throats. This dark curse can basically make people do anything, kill their families, destroy a school, and for that reason it's certainly one of the most evil spells in existence. 2. Crucio. Like Imperio above, Crucio is one of the unforgivable curses. The Cruciatus curse, aka Crucio, literally translates to I torture in Latin, so you can already begin to get an idea of what this spell does and why it's here on the list. Crucio is most often used by dark witches and wizards, and a known proponent of Crucio is Bellatrix Lestrange, who used it to torture Alice and Frank Longbottom. When cast, Crucio inflicts excruciating pain on the victim, pain so excruciating that it is considered to be torturous. Casting Crucio is said to require a wand and incantation, and its effects are said to vary depending on the caster's desires and emotions. For best results, the caster must despise the victim and enjoy causing pain. When Harry tried to use it on Bellatrix, it just didn't work that well, and that's because he's just not messed up enough to use it. Crucio is the spell of torture, and it doesn't get much more evil than torture. 1. The Horcrux creation spell. Even Magique Most Evil, a dark arts reference book that focuses on dark magic, refused to touch on the creation of a Horcrux. Of the Horcrux, wickedest of magical inventions, we shall not speak nor give direction. That alone should be enough to put it at the top of this list, but let me expand on things a bit further. Generally speaking, we don't exactly know what is involved with this spell, but what we do know is that murder is necessary. The Horcrux creation spell is used to create a Horcrux, an object in which a dark witch or wizard imparts a piece of their soul in order to achieve immortality. It's widely considered to be the most terrible form of dark magic, and for good reason. This spell affects both the victim as well as the caster, as, in sheer defiance of life itself, it rips out and redistributes the soul. It opposes the fundamental laws of magic. In fact, it's so evil that even most dark witches and wizards avoid this spell. Slughorn puts it best himself. Few would want it, Tom. Very few. Death would be preferable. And that's it for this video. Avada Kedavra didn't make it onto the list because, in a weird sort of way, it's merciful. It's like death by lethal injection. It kills instantly. And while it's still certainly evil, I think that the spells on this list are far more sinister. What's your list? Let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, tamper with the deepest mysteries, the source of life, the essence of self, only if prepared for consequences of the most extreme and dangerous kind.